The man in black is back with another mystery news right after the intro. Hello everyone, we're back with another edition of Mystery News. And today I bring you some news. Stuff that no man in black would have the courage to tell you. But I have that courage. So, let's get to the first news. The first news comes from the city of Varginha, and there's been a lot happening there over these last few months. Starting in September, we had the unveiling of a 4-meter statue of a creature. It was Renato Criaturas who developed this architectural work, and it's now available for unidentified flying object tourism there in Varginha. Currently, it's a landmark that people can visit and take pictures with. So that's the first news from Varginha. But the news that's really blowing up on the internet right now, and that comes from Varginha, is a new statement from Dr. Venturelli. Dr. Italo Venturelli is a neurosurgeon who works and worked at the regional hospital. And at that time in Varginha, he was involved with this case. In 2022, he gave a statement saying that he had seen a videotape and mentioned the names of some other doctors who had seen this creature, who had filmed it, and so on. He brought a lot of information, but now recently he changed his story a little, saying that he was an eyewitness, meaning he didn't see a video. He saw the creature himself and was even called to attend to a patient there, a supposed patient. And when he arrived at the hospital, he saw that he was facing a completely different creature. For some time now, he had said that this creature had a skull that was shaped like a drop, and the creature's eyes were also red. It was shaped like a drop. But now in 2025, heart attack. And we even believe that this heart attack was the reason he decided to give more information. And they even talk about the experience he had with the creature. That this experience is a personal, tactile, and telepathic contact with this being that we don't know where it's from. If it's of extraterrestrial origin, ultra-terrestrial, we don't know where it came from, but we know it's a non-human creature. And he gave the following statement. I'm going to put on the screen now what he said, open quotes. I really saw it that day. I went to see it as if I were going to see a patient, and it wasn't a patient. It really was an alien, clearly an alien. And so Dr. Venturelli, we believe that he also spoke out because he didn't want to, let's say, die before telling this truth. And he also said it was because of his grandchildren. So he made the following statement, quote, I'm doing this for my grandchildren, and I don't care about the consequences. I don't care. So he really threw everything away, said he had contact with this creature, saw it in person at the regional hospital. This is causing quite a stir. His statement should be echoed in a new documentary that James Fox is also developing. The other news from Varginha is also that the director of the film Moment of Contact, he got in touch with some men, agencies, the American CIA, and he requested via Freedom of Information Act, which is the Freedom of Information Act, he wanted to know about the presence of helicopters and an aircraft, a C-17 in Campinas, so he asked the CIA through Freedom of Information Act. He wanted to know if there really was a flight on those dates in January 1996. And to everyone's surprise, the CIA's Freedom of Information Act response said they couldn't provide that information because it was a matter of national security. Unfortunately, the cover-up continues. In the Varginha case, Do you know when the first UFO port was built? Do you know where that happened? No? Then I'll tell you. It was in Canada, in Alberta, in 1967. A circular concrete structure was built there. It consists of a main column and a circular platform, 9 meters wide and weighing 130 tons. This structure is on top of a time capsule, which is to be opened in 2067. What could be inside that time capsule? And what's interesting about this UFO port, which was the first in the world? There in Canada, they had Paul Heller at the inauguration, who is one of the defenders of extraterrestrial life. He is a former minister of Canada. He has been involved with the subject of ufology for quite some time, and he was present at the inauguration of this UFO port. In Brazil, there's the UFO port at Barra do Garças. But anytime, I'll bring this information to you in more detail. Let's go to the next news. Transcription Ribeiro. The next news is that on September 12, 2025, we were honored as a highlight of ufology, and it's an award for communication and distinction in 2025. So it was a great honor for us to be part of this event. There were several celebrities there: Anna Hickman, Patricia Bravanel, Ratinho. All of them received awards, and we also ended up receiving an award. The place where the tribute was held was packed, so we felt very honored by that. Besides this award, recently now, on November 3rd, 2025, at the Ordem dos Advogados do Brasil in Santo André, which is the 38th subsection of Santo André, there was the creation of a commission for the study of space law and related sciences. Paula Roberta called us and ended up asking us to be consulting members of this commission. We accepted, and we are now in the 2025 administration until 2027. This is the ordinance that appoints me as a consulting member of this commission, an important commission that the Ordem dos Advogados do Brasil of Santo André created. In fact, there was a lecture on that day, right? I was there. Saga from Peruíbe was also there, participating in this inauguration event, the creation of this commission. So that's it. A lot of things are happening in ufology. Do it. I wanted to leave a record. We received this book here from Natalie Acabrol, The Secret Life of the Universe. It's a book that talks about the origin of life beyond Earth. So it brings a lot of interesting things. And Natalie Acabrol is a very important person. She is a French astrobiologist and director of the Carl Sagan Center at Institute 7 over in the United States. So they sent us this book, The Secret Life of the Universe. We'll be reading it here. And it has a lot of astronomical information and about life beyond Earth. Also, she discusses some theories. Another book we received, Logbook, from my friend Edno de Almeida, so we received it. He even wrote a dedication here in the book, very nice, to his friend Edison Boaventura. And we will also be reading it. There are several stories here and encounters that Edno de Almeida had. So these are two books that have come to add to our library. The last piece of news I have for you is this. I am even going to read it. Here is a newspaper headline. This newspaper is Jornal A Ilha from Azores, Portugal, and it's dated February 11th, 1984. The headline is as follows. Spanish pilot claims National Aeronautics and Space Administration has evidence about UFOs. We often hear that National Aeronautics and Space Administration doesn't know anything, that National Aeronautics and Space Administration has no evidence. They say it doesn't have this, doesn't have that, but what? This Spanish pilot, who was also an important journalist on Spanish television in Madrid, he shares something very interesting here that I'm going to tell you about. This pilot, his name is Jose Antonio Silva, but since he's from Porto, he had this nickname and it stuck. Some people know him as Jose Antonio Silva from Porto. And he was born in Santiago de Compostela in 1938, but he already passed away in La Coruña, Spain in May 1997. He wrote several books, was a journalist, was an important reporter for Spanish television, and also worked at National Aeronautics and Space Administration. He was a pilot, and at that time when man landed on the moon on July 20th, 1968, he was working at a Spanish space station in Madrid. And he observed, he had an experience there that I'm going to tell you about. During an event that also took place in Spain, where J.J. Benist, another important writer, was present, he gave his testimony sharing details of this experience on Televisión Española, where he was also a host. He even talked about several things, including UFOs. And he even wrote a book titled Mysticism and Mystery of Unidentified Flying Objects, written in 1987, which also deals with the unidentified flying object theme. But what did he experience that's in this newspaper here? So this pilot was working that day. He was at this space station, which is in Madrid, when suddenly Armstrong, he said he was seeing something there. It looked like a being or an unidentified object, and everyone was paying attention. Houston talking to the astronauts, and suddenly then an order came, and then they asked Jose Antonio Silva to leave that area, to move away from the line. That's what it was. What it was. What it was. National Aeronautics and Space Administration has had evidence about ovnis since back in 1969, when man first landed on the moon. And then that's it for Horno Misterio. Your favorite Man in Black will be back soon with a new edition and news for you. If you liked it, hit the like button, leave your comments, and see you on the next podcast live show with Edison Boaventura, your favorite Man in Black.